you all for joining me today. I'm hoping that you have an interest in developing talent using the Apprenticeship Levy, data talent in particular. We're going to be focusing on using the Apprenticeship Levy for training data analysts and data scientists today. So, in case you weren't aware, the company that you are talking to is Cambridge Spark, and my name is Jules. And this is what I used to look like before I cut all my hair off. I work in human resources and learning and development. I've been formerly global training specialist and have developed, designed, delivered learning interventions around the world. I'm now working with Cambridge Spark because I love what they do. So I probably ought to tell you what we do here at Cambridge Spark. We are an EdTech company, we are a training provider, and we are passionate about increasing digital skills in the UK and around the world. So we are leaders in personalised data science and software engineering training. Our team, the people I work with every day, consist of PhDs from the top universities in the world, and they have amazing knowledge, amazing backgrounds, fantastic group of people to work with. As a company, we believe the way of educating the next generation of professionals in technology is broken. There's a skill set mismatch between higher education, people leaving university, and what the industry actually needs. The industry is moving incredibly quickly, and large academic institutions like universities are struggling to keep up. In addition, the methodology, the educational methods that are being used are not using the latest advances in research and technology, and that's where we set ourselves apart. That's what we're doing. So we are providing a highly personalized, data-driven learning and work simulated platform for data talent attraction, assessment, development, and career progression. So we're not just a training company, although today that is going to be the key part of what I focus on. So hopefully you know what you've let yourselves in for, and hopefully you are one of these people. So this webinar today is for managers who are looking to increase the data analysis and data science skills in their team. It's for employers and managers who want to effectively use that apprenticeship levy. It's sat there waiting to be spent, but how can you spend it? It's for employers who are seeking to support social mobility, diversity, inclusion, early careers talent within their organisation. So these are all hot topics on the HR and business scene at the moment. So if your organisation is thinking about these, apprenticeships are likely to be a key part of that strategy. This webinar will cover an overview, very quick, we've got half an hour, of a modern apprenticeship. So we're going to focus on digital skills. I'm going to give you an overview of the data analyst and data science apprenticeship programs that we're delivering at the moment. We're going to look at some of the benefits of our approach. I've said we use a different approach. I'm going to tell you a bit about why, and hopefully at the end there'll be time for some questions and answers. If not, send in those messages for me, all right? So let's start with a fact. Although they remain important, apprenticeships are no longer just about developing technical or vocational skills for a specific profession. So this is a really important starting point. There are still so many stereotypes, prejudices, misconceptions about apprenticeships and what it means to be an apprentice. And hopefully we're going to do a little bit of myth busting through this presentation. Many of the people I've spoken to who said they would be joining this webinar are already working within the apprenticeship sector. So hopefully I'm talking to people who kind of get that apprenticeships are not the old blacksmiths apprenticeships of the Middle Ages. This is something very different, very relevant, and up to date. So why has there been all this talk about apprenticeships, and why has the government put in place this tax, the Apprenticeship Levy? Well, I'm sure most of you in employment are going to be aware that there is a chronic skills gap in the UK, and employers are fighting for skilled talent. As fantastic as it is that the UK has very high employment levels, it means really it is a battle to get that talent, and that's across multiple specialisms, but certainly across the digital skills sector. There's been a lot of criticism of a one-size-fits-all education approach. So that route that seems very familiar through your school, you've got your SATs, GCSEs, A-levels, and then you go off to university and you get your degree, and then maybe you get your master's, and if you're feeling particularly academic, you get your PhD, and then what? That route is great for some people. It's not great for everyone. It's that older Albert Einstein quote about if you judge a fish by its ability to ride a bicycle, it's really not going to do well. And I know I misquoted that, but you know what I mean. Apprenticeships are also about making sure that school leavers who leave that education system, at whatever point they leave it, they're lacking work experience. So this is a way of giving them education and work experience simultaneously. It's about learning while doing. So experiential learning for the Kolb learning cycle fans. And this increases the transfer of learning. So taking what you learn in the classroom, that theory, and applying it to the workplace, getting a practical usage out of it and seeing it in action, testing it. Which as employers, ultimately is what you're looking for. You can send people on a training course, but what you want is for them to actually come back and do the job better and apply the skills that you've just invested in. Apprenticeships are also about supporting career change, and this is becoming increasingly necessary as the world of work changes. You may have heard a lot about the virtual industrial revolution that's happening at the moment. So there's a lot of talk of automation and how that's going to impact many of the roles we see in the workplace. There's several statistics out there and estimates that in sort of 10, 20 years' time, we're going to be doing jobs that just don't exist now because the workplace itself and the nature of work is going to have evolved significantly. So apprenticeships are a way of giving people that opportunity to change their career, to stay relevant, to do something that is necessary in the workplace and not become obsolete. Quick slide here. This is showing equivalent learning levels. So I'm saying that apprenticeships are an alternative to that conventional GCSE and A-level route. There are other options as well. We've got BTECs, we've got degree apprenticeships. The apprenticeship levels we're going to be talking about are level 4 through to level 7. They're the ones we're going to be talking about today. They're the ones that Cambridge Spark are currently delivering. So these are from A-level onwards. Okay, so what are the basics? What actually is this apprenticeship? I'm telling you it's not what it used to be, so what is it now? Okay, so some of the things are still the same. It's a long-term vocational learning program, and it incorporates your day-to-day employment. You have to be employed to be an apprentice. As we've just seen, they go from level 2, which is a GCSE equivalent, up to level 7, which is the equivalent of a master's. Apprentices can and are any age, so they can be any age at all, as long as they're over 16. Directly relevant to the apprenticeship job role as set out in the standards. So an apprenticeship must be relevant to what they're doing. You can't use this to say, one day I want to be a hairdresser, but right now I am a mechanic. No, you have to be an apprentice hairdresser to study hairdressing apprenticeship. The same is equally true of the digital skills we're going to look at and the digital apprenticeships. So you must have an apprentice whose day-to-day is using the digital skills that they're learning. Distinctive elements of an apprenticeship, especially under the standards, which is the guidelines for apprenticeships right now. You must have 20% off-the-job learning. Now, off-the-job learning does not necessarily mean out of the workplace. What it means is brand new learning that they have not studied before, that they can apply to what they're doing. The apprenticeships we're going to look at today are government accredited, and they are funded through the Apprenticeship Levy and topped up by government money. And they are assessed through what is called an endpoint assessment, which we're going to look at in more detail shortly. So, since the review of apprenticeships in 2012, Doug Richard made some very strong recommendations, one of which is that apprenticeships need to be high quality training with serious kudos and tangible value to both the apprentice and the employer. So this is how all the apprenticeships have been designed. They have been put together by groups of employers who have focused on the skills that they need for the workplace. The assessment is robust, and these are qualifications that you can trust. The reputation hasn't necessarily caught up with them, but I can tell you the quality, which we're going to look at in a little bit more detail, really should give these qualifications that serious kudos and tangible value. Another fact for you, particularly relevant if you have IT skills gaps and digital skills gaps, BCS, the British Computing Society, did a survey where 87% of employers said they're going to be using apprenticeships to fill those skills gaps. We know there is a skills shortage. Apprenticeships are certainly a key part of the solution. So the levy, we've spoken about it. Chances are your employer is paying it. Definitely been on the news quite a lot recently. Employers with a salary bill of £3 million or more will have 0.5% of that salary bill held in the levy. The government then tops it up with some additional funding. Here's where the quality controls kick in. So for us as a training provider to be able to access that money, or for you as an employer to be able to assign that money to a training provider, that training provider must be on the Register of Apprenticeship Training Providers. It's managed by the ESFA, and it is not just a register where any of us can sign up. There is a very, very rigid quality control process. They want to see our business is stable, our business is successful. They want to see that we have necessary safeguarding and security and protection for our learners. They want to see our GDPR policies. They want to see everything to make sure that your learners, your employees, are going to be having an absolutely perfect experience. So that's the first hurdle for a training provider. Then we are all Ofsted audited. So we are the same as a school, a college, assessed by Ofsted. So that's another government set or government quality control. And that really focuses on the quality of the teaching, the learning, the experience that you have working with us, the experience that your apprentices have working with us. The endpoint assessment, I promised you would come back to that. Now, it's external. We're not allowed to mark our own homework. We're not allowed to mark what the apprentices have done. So we need an external third party who has also been through the same approval process. They're not on the Register of Apprenticeship Training Providers. They are on the Register of Endpoint Assessment Organisations. And they do the assessment at the end. So we do the teaching, and we do that to the best possible quality. And then it's assessed by a completely external third party. In our case, it is BCS. It is the Chartered Institute for IT who do the endpoint assessments for our apprentices. The Institute for Apprenticeship published the standards. Now, this is the guideline. This is the content. What must an apprenticeship involve? What do we have to cover? What's our curriculum going to be based on? So you know that we as providers will cover what the employers in the Trailblazer group have decided should be in an apprenticeship of this level. So you're going to get the right skills. And again, it's externally audited. It's the Institute for Apprenticeships. And with all those checks in place, that's where your apprenticeship levy money goes. It can only go on apprenticeships. It can only go on training that has been through that quality process. So you've got peace of mind. You also have a choice of providers. You can see who is out there and who provides the training in the way that suits you. So the employer is very much in control of this and can rest assured they're going to get high quality training provision. So a little bit more about Cambridge Spark and what we're doing. So big slide here. I'm not going to go into all of the detail. We will be sharing the slides and, as I said, this video after the presentation. To give you an overview of our current provision for data analyst and data scientist training, you can see that we've got three different options. The level 4, we deliver directly to you as an employer. And we actually have employers who are putting together an internal data science academy using that level 4 apprenticeship and using our training. We've been able to customize the branding and work with them, and we're upskilling their early careers talent in this. You can also see we have a level 6 and level 7. Now these are what's called mandated degrees, integrated degrees. So we've partnered with Anglia Ruskin University, and from September we will be providing the BSc, which is the undergrad qualification, and the Masters and MSc. So they are both run through the university, and half of the content is delivered by us, which means you know you're going to get the latest skills, the most relevant support, cutting edge theories. That's what we're bringing, as well as academic robustness and credibility of a university. So the way our curriculum works is we have modules, and we can flex the modules a little bit. Ignore the codes, they mean something to us, but less to you guys. But what you can see is the kind of topics we're covering. So that level 4 is going to start with an introduction to Python, an introduction to the language of data analysis, the language of data science. We're going to look at the basics of data processing, data visualization, and then it's going to accelerate. We keep building. Obviously, by the time you get to the level 7, it's going to be far more of the modules in the data science stream. So this is going to be the cloud computing. This is going to be processing big data, natural language processing, all of that stuff where your data ability transfers from being able to interpret it and analyze it and starts to become a lot more predictive, being able to make those recommendations on strategy for the business based on the data that you've accumulated. So, a bit of a timeline for you. If you were to partner with us, there are some steps even before the apprentice comes on program. So the way we've been working with our existing employers, and obviously if your employer were to work with us, we would have a conversation initially about what that relationship looks like and what it entails. But we can help you market this and promote this, either as part of your recruitment activities or internally if you're looking to upskill existing employees and support career changes. There are some significant application and eligibility checks. Obviously, from your side, you get to decide who you want to employ as an apprentice. From our side too, to draw the government funding, we have to make sure that the candidate really is eligible. And we want to gauge a level, or gauge an understanding of their level of knowledge as well. The decision is ultimately up to you, and how you communicate to your apprentices that they've been successful is up to you. And then we've got to get the paperwork done on the ESFA site and get everything signed up and legit. They don't just become apprentices. We have to do this officially. And we're here to support you as an employer every step of the way through that process. A rather scary looking flow chart here. I'm not going to go into too much detail. All I want you to take away from this is we need to check that there is no duplication of knowledge. If someone has already been in a data science role or a data analysis role for a long time, it may well invalidate them from the programme. Additionally, if they have not been resident or they are not naturally British and living in England, because the Apprenticeship Levy is actually specific to England, it's part of the devolved legislation, they also may not be eligible. And again, for you as employers, you will need to be prepared that 20% of the apprentice's time must be spent on new learning. Here is an example of how one of our programs runs. So this is not the programs that we are running in collaboration with Anglia Ruskin. You can find a lot more information about those on the Anglia Ruskin website. This is how we would do our level 4 data analyst, for example. So you can see that we're providing training content, it's modular, and they're working their way through those modules. We actually don't demand that they come to our premises or anything like that. Most of our training is done online. I'll show you how in a few minutes. That acronym K.A.T.E, Knowledge Assessment Teaching Engine, is the platform that we've built that gives instant coding feedback. So your learners can be accessing data sets, putting together the codes, running their scripts, and they will get instant feedback. And that's completely tailored. It gives them recommendations for further reading. It highlights where errors have been made. Really, really useful tool. And the feedback from learners is they absolutely love it. The remaining 80% of their time, remember I said they need to be employed in something that is connected to what they're learning. They're also going to be building a portfolio of what they're doing, how they're using these skills. And this is something that will be looked at in the assessment. We're going to be keeping regular contact with the apprentices through surveys, and where it says ILP, that's Individual Learner Plan. So these are coaching sessions, these are times when we're checking in. There are some additional qualifications, which again we're going to take care of. So functional skills, maths and English must be passed to a level 2. We have the BCS knowledge exam, which is a requirement, as well as the Dell EMC data science exam. So that will give them additional qualifications as well as the apprenticeship. That endpoint assessment, what are we preparing them for? Well, gateway is the point where we decide they're ready for an assessment. And we're going to have a portfolio of evidence. We are going to have that ILP that we've been talking about. And we're also going to run a project, a supervised project with them. This is a requirement of the apprenticeship. And you as the employer are going to complete an employer reference to say that you have been through this journey with the apprentice and they have demonstrated the required skills. So the project then takes place 3 to 5 working days, and the results are sent to the Endpoint Assessment Association. They will also conduct a one-to-one interview with the apprentice. We're not involved in that at all. We will help the apprentice prepare for that, of course. And after all that, they will be presented with their certificate. So I want to show you a little bit more about K.A.T.E. So forgive me for the small images on this slide. If anyone wants to know more about K.A.T.E, please do get in touch. We love showing off what K.A.T.E can do. In one place, you've got all your projects, and they're released on a monthly basis along with those modules. You can see that you've got little scores, how well you've performed on that project. For you as employers, you've got a dashboard where you can see how each one of your apprentices has engaged, how much time they've spent online, when have they been logging on, how successful have they been, how many attempts have they made. Coming from an L&D background, I know how difficult it can be to show a return on investment of learning and to show learner engagement. So we're giving you a dashboard that does just that. We can also pull off various reports, and K.A.T.E.'s functionality is increasing every single day. We have a pretty fantastic tech team who are on the case. So I think we are still just about in time. I hope that has answered some of the questions about what you can do and how you can use the Apprenticeship Levy to support digital skills training. As I said, it can be for early careers or experienced talent within your business. And the apprenticeships are that hybrid, that blend of theory and experiential learning. We have created a program where it is purely experiential with recommendations to further reading and theory and new learning, but it really is a place where the learner can access K.A.T.E, they can access the content anywhere, anytime, and upskill themselves at their own pace with instant feedback. So it's a really remote, flexible model. It also matches the environment that they work in. It matches and simulates as closely as possible what it's like to be a data scientist, what it's like to be a data analyst. You're going to be sat there with your computer. We don't do a lot of classroom training. This also means you've got flexibility when you're going to allocate that 20% off the job time. So we've seen there is a wide range of apprenticeship standards and a wide range of training providers. The way we do it is different to other people. We're biased. We think it's the best. If it is something that interests you, please do get in touch. And the benefits for business include increased productivity, talent retention, and diversity, because you're bringing in people from all kinds of different backgrounds. And statistics show that people on apprenticeship programs, the talent is retained for far longer. They have increased loyalty to the business, and their productivity is higher than their peers in equivalent roles who have not been on the apprenticeship. The reason we've got the NHS logo here, I think many of you have been told by Leona to join this webinar. We are looking to establish a level 4 apprenticeship cohort with them and many of their partners. So if you're interested, please do contact either myself or NHS Worcestershire. Thank you very much. I'm afraid we don't have time for questions. I'm going to check with my tech support. Dan, how are we doing? We've got any questions come in? I think we are fine. So I just want to say thank you very much for joining us. Please do connect with me, LinkedIn, email, whatever is best. Here's our company contact details, or give us a call. Thank you very much and have a great weekend.